In this video, we will look at the rules dealing with free kicks, team restrictions, possessing and advancing the ball after a kick, and first touching. Officiating the kicking game can oftentimes be harder. There are unique rules that we must work on to remember and enforce properly. It's always good to review the kicking game rules often. A kick is defined as the intentional striking of the ball with the knee, lower leg, or foot. There are two different types of legal kicks, the free kick and the scrimmage kick. We will focus on free kicks in this video and discuss scrimmage kicks later. Free kicks are used to start a half, after a try or field goal, these are commonly known as kickoffs, following a safety, or when chosen after a fair catch or awarded fair catch. After a try or successful field goal, the opponent of the scoring team actually has the option as to which team will kick off. Unless the coach of the team scored on explicitly tells us they want to kick off, we just assume that the scoring team will kick. One of the rarest uses of the free kick we see is after a fair catch. A team that makes a fair catch can elect to take a free kick for a score. Teams will line up like normal. However, if the ball goes through the goalpost, K will be awarded 3 points. During a free kick, there are a couple of different kick types that can be used. The most commonly used is the place kick. This is where the kick is made from a fixed position, either on the ground or on a tee. A teammate can hold the ball in place for the kicker if they so choose and can be in the neutral zone while doing this. The next kick is a drop kick. This is where the player drops the ball to the ground and then kicks it after the ball has hit the ground and begins rising from it. Finally, a punt can be used, but only for a free kick after a safety. A punt is when the ball is dropped and kicked before it hits the ground. A pop-up kick is a free kick in which the ball is driven down into the ground and after hitting the ground once, bounces up in the air. If the ball goes above the shoulders of the receivers, it's a pop-up kick. This is a dead ball foul and is enforced 5 yards from the previous spot. Wings need to be on the lookout for this when an onside kick is probable. As soon as it's seen that the kick is a pop-up, the play should be whistled dead immediately to prevent contact. The most common free kick line is K's 40. This is used for the opening kickoff for each half and after scores. After a safety, K will kick from their own 20-yard line. Finally, when a team elects to take a free kick after a fair catch, the free kick takes place on the line where the ball was caught. If it's an awarded fair catch, the line is where penalty enforcement moves the ball. If there is a penalty in which enforcement allows for a re-kick, the ball can be moved to the new line and can still score. The kicking team have certain restrictions on their alignment before the kick. All players except the kicker or holder must be between the free kick line and the 5-yard line behind that. Only the player who kicks the ball can be farther than 5 yards behind the ball. If any other player kicks the ball, it's a dead ball foul and the penalty is 5 yards. The kicking team must also have at least 4 players on each side of the kicker when the ball is kicked. We need to pay special attention when a kicking team is moving laterally before the kick to make sure that we have enough players on each side when the ball is kicked. A referee might have the best view of this, but can also be called by the wings as well. This is one of the rules that needs to be called tighter when the team is attempting an onside kick. The kicker and holder can be beyond the free kick line, but any other player that crosses this line before the ball is kicked has committed encroachment. When watching for this foul, we want to make sure we use common sense. If the ball is kicked long, we don't need to use a pane of glass philosophy to enforce this penalty. Make sure that it is plainly obvious to everyone that encroachment has been committed before throwing the flag and killing the play. I would recommend telling the coach that his players are very close to encroachment and use preventive officiating to try to correct this. However, once again, when we are dealing with onside kicks, we want to be a lot stricter as it can give an unfair advantage to the kicking team. Encroachment is a dead ball penalty and is 5 yards and a re-kick from the new spot. Once the kicking team selects the spot of their free kick, they cannot move it unless a penalty occurs. They cannot use a timeout to move the spot either. Finally, just as the rule for offensive players, K players cannot unintentionally step out of bounds and continue to participate. The only exception is if they are blocked out of bounds by the receiving team, and they must come back in as soon as possible. The restriction line for the receiving team is 10 yards beyond the K's restraining line. So for a normal kickoff, this line is the 50, and for safeties, the line is K's 30. Team R cannot cross the line until the ball is kicked. We should enforce this similar to how we do Team K for encroachment. We can use preventive officiating here as well as with K when they are lining up. Players can be told to stay off the line if they are getting too close, just to get them aware of their positioning on the field. The clock cannot start until a Team R player touches the ball. So when we have an onside kick, we need to wait till R touches the ball before winding, and make sure we don't wind the clock if K touches the ball first. Once R touches the ball, it's a good mechanic for all officials to wind when possible. However, we also need to avoid ball watching and make sure we keep a close eye in our primary areas. One of the most important aspects of the kicking game that officials need to know is when the kick ends. One way to remember this is a kick is a kick until it's caught or recovered. Until this happens, all action that takes place is still part of the kick. R can catch or recover the ball and advance. Once they have possession, the kick is over and now the play is considered a running play. If they fumble the ball, K can catch or recover the ball and advance it. However, K can't advance the ball from a kick if they recover it. Team K can legally touch the ball once one of the two following events happen. First is if Team R has touched the ball. The second is when the ball has traveled 10 yards and has touched the ground. In these two situations, K can recover the kick and keep possession. If K touches the ball before it goes the required 10 yards and before Team R touches it, we call this first touching. First touching is not a foul. When we see it, we need to throw a beanbag to mark the spot. When we know an onside kick is coming, the wings near the restraining line should have their beanbag in their hands and be ready to watch for it. After first touching, the ball remains live and the play continues. We can have first touching multiple times during the same kick. We want to make sure the spot we use is the most beneficial to the receiving team. If either an R or K player is blocked into the ball, we ignore this touching. So a K player who is blocked into the ball does not count as first touching. If an R player is blocked into the ball, this doesn't count towards the touching that allows K to recover the ball. First touching allows R to have possession of the ball at the spot where it occurs, even if they touch the ball afterwards and Team K gains possession. They can also choose the spot if they gain possession behind the spot of first touching. This is why it's important to have the best spot marked for R. When we have fouls during kicks and first touching also occurs, we have special enforcement rules we must remember. If a foul is accepted, it cancels the first touching. So here are a few situations where we need to pay special attention. If a foul is committed by K before R recovers the kick and we have first touching, Team R can come back to the spot of first touching if they decline this penalty. If R commits a foul before recovering the ball and we have first touching, K can accept the penalty and re-kick the ball. And finally, in a more complicated situation, if K first touches the ball, then R recovers the ball and begins advancing, and during the run, K ends up with the ball in possession at the end of the play. After a fumble, K can decline the penalty and keep possession of the ball. In these situations, it's good for a crew to come together and discuss everything that happened to make sure we get the enforcement correct. Take the time needed to get the ruling correct in these difficult situations.